They thought Earth was a myth. A forgotten blue planet. Nothing but dust, storms, and bones. But then, they stepped into the simulation. And Earth woke up, the skies turned black. The trees moved like they were alive. And something was watching them. Welcome to the galaxy's most dangerous planet. The alien students floated silently through the Academy's training chamber, their holographic displays glowing with excitement. Today's lesson was about Deathworlds. And Earth was number one. It can't be real, said Karen, a tall insectoid student with black crystal eyes. A planet where gravity crushes bones? Where animals hunt you in your... Within 2 minutes of arriving, one student almost died. Not from a weapon, but from a small, silent snake hiding in the grass. They didn't understand it yet. But Earth didn't need to fight you. It would just let you die. Their oxygen levels dropped. Their heat sensors glitched. And something was wrong with the air. The death world wasn't attacking them. It was testing them. The simulation gate slammed shut behind them with a loud hiss. 8 alien students now stood inside the Earth environment sim. Tall trees surrounded them. The sky above was cloudy, gray, and alive with distant thunder. It's quiet, whispered Karen. Too quiet, said Gruck, adjusting his eye lenses. No drones. No signals. Just nature. Professor Tellus, still outside the field, spoke through the comms. You have 72 hours, he said calmly. Learn. Observe. Survive. Suddenly. A scream. Vren, the youngest, fell to the ground, screaming in pain. Something had struck his leg. The students gathered around. His skin was turning black. Was it a weapon? Shouted Gruck. No, it was a snake, yelled Karen, pointing at a tiny brown serpent slithering into the grass. That small thing did this? Emergency evac now, one shouted. But the professor's voice came back cold. Negative. Simulation rules, no evac. Learn Earth's laws, or perish by them. They watched as the venom spread through Vren's leg. His eyes rolled. A med drone arrived late, stabilizing him. One student already down. Only 10 minutes inside. As night fell, the temperature dropped quickly. It was warm in the sun. Now it felt like ice. I don't understand this place, mumbled Sula, rubbing her arms. Why is the weather changing so fast? No global control systems, said Gruck. No artificial stabilizers. Earth runs wild. Karen scanned the forest. No fences. No borders. Just pure chaos. They heard something in the distance. Not a machine. It was the cry of a living beast. Long, low, hunting. They built a small campfire, not for heat, but for fear. The forest felt close. Like it was listening. The next day, the insects came. Tiny flying things with wings. Harmless looking, until one of them stung Yuli, the quietest of the group. She didn't scream. She just stopped moving. Her body locked up, and she dropped like a stone. The med drone saved her, barely. That's when they realized. Earth doesn't send big monsters to kill you. It kills you with small things. Invisible things. The kind you never expect. The air grew thick by noon. The atmosphere's bacteria started affecting their lungs. Their scanners couldn't keep up. Even the translation devices began to fail in the humidity. One student panicked. I can't breathe right, my suit's failing. Calm down, shouted Gruck. I want out, she screamed. This is a mistake, this isn't a simulation, this is a tomb. But then, a human voice broke the silence. You think this is bad? They froze. Try growing up here. They turned. Standing in the distance was a figure. Not part of the student team. Not part of the simulation team. A tall humanoid, covered in worn armor and dirt. His eyes were sharp and calm. Karen tried to speak, but the words got stuck. The man stepped closer. He looked strong, but tired. "You're tourists," he said. "But this place doesn't care. Earth doesn't make room for tourists. You either adapt." He glanced at the stunned students. "Or it buries you." He came out of the shadows. Not a beast. Not a soldier. But a man. And in his eyes, the kind of pain you only get if you've survived Earth. He wasn't part of the academy. Not in their files. Not expected. Yet somehow, he was alive here. How? The students stared at him in silence. The human didn't speak again. Not right away. He looked at their trembling hands, their shaking legs, their broken confidence. And then he did something none of them expected. He laughed. A low, tired laugh. "You brought scanners," he said. "They won't help you here." Karen stepped forward cautiously. "Who are you? Why are you here?" The man walked past them, brushing vines aside. "Name's Ash. Was part of the original Earth Preservation Unit. Got left behind. That was a while ago." Gruck's scales twitched. "But that's impossible. Earth missions ended decades ago." Ash looked back. "Yeah. Guess someone forgot about me." He led them deeper into the jungle. Not because he wanted to help, but because he knew they wouldn't last another night on their own. They crossed rivers, climbed jagged rocks, moved through paths no map had. At one point, Ash pointed at a beautiful, red-colored tree. "Don't touch that," he said. "Looks pretty. Burns like acid." Sulla pulled her hand back just in time. "Earth doesn't kill with force," he said. "It kills with ignorance." They reached a ruined building covered in moss. "This was a field station," Ash said, pushing open the door. Inside were human tools. Old weapons. Food packs turned to dust. Karen touched the wall. "Why did humans leave?" Ash didn't answer at first. He stared at a broken photo lying on the floor. A family, smiling. He picked it up and set it upright again. "We never left," he finally said. "We were left." That night, they built a fire. Ash sat alone, sharpening a long metal blade. The others sat quietly, still shaken. Gruck leaned toward Karen. "He shouldn't be alive. The odds of one man surviving this long are low." Karen nodded. "But he did." Ash suddenly stood. "You think I'm lucky?" he said, as if he'd heard them. "No," he walked closer. "Luck dies on Earth. The only thing that keeps you breathing is what's in here." He tapped his chest. "Fear. Pain. Rage. Love. All of it. That's what Earth feeds on." He looked up at the dark sky. "And when it breaks you, it teaches you something the rest of the galaxy forgot." Suddenly, a sound. Branches snapped. Leaves rustled. Ash froze. Quiet. The students went still. Then they saw it, a shape moving between the trees. Large. Low. Watching them. "What is that?" whispered Sulla. Ash didn't blink. "It's hunting." "For us?" Ash shook his head slowly. "For me." Without a word, Ash grabbed a torch and stepped into the dark. The others watched in shock. "Where is he going?" Sulla asked. "To face it," Karen whispered. "But alone?" Gruck frowned. "Maybe this is why humans survived. Not because they were stronger." He looked toward the forest. "But because they didn't wait for help. Deep in the forest, they heard two sounds. A roar. And then a scream. Then silence. And then, footsteps. Ash walked back through the trees. Blood on his arm. But calm. Alive. He dropped a fong the size of a hand into the dirt. That thing was fast, he said. Then he sat down again, like nothing happened. The students stared at the fong. Karen spoke what they were all thinking. If Earth created him. She turned toward the forest. What else did it create? On most worlds, you can run from danger. But on Earth, danger doesn't chase you. It waits for you. And when you're tired, hungry, afraid, that's when it strikes. The students thought the worst was over. But Earth had just begun. It doesn't care if you're young. It only cares if you're weak. They moved out the next morning. Ash walked in front, quiet as ever. The alien students followed, slower now. Tired. Bruised. Afraid. No one had slept well. Vren, the youngest, limped with the pain still left from the snake bite. I don't think I can go on, he whispered. Ash heard him. He didn't slow down. He didn't speak. He just kept walking. Scylla whispered he should rest. But Ash stopped suddenly and turned. You think Earth waits for you to rest, he said coldly. You think predators give you a break? He looked right at Vren. You rest too long, you die. It's that simple. Karen stepped in. That's harsh. Ash's voice didn't change. So is Earth. A storm started to build above them. The sky turned dark. Winds began to scream through the trees. This simulation is unstable, said Gruck, checking his scanner. Ash laughed. This isn't a simulation anymore. What do you mean? Asked Karen. Ash looked up at the sky. They turned off the limits. You're not students anymore. The rain came like knives. Cold, hard, sharp. Lightning hit a tree just 20 meters away. It exploded in fire. The group ran for shelter, a cave Ash had found earlier. But Vren couldn't run fast enough. He slipped on a wet root. Fell. Didn't move. Scylla screamed, running back for him. Ash grabbed her arm. No. He's still out there. He's already dead. Gruck pulled her back. We'll die too if we don't move. The storm roared louder. And Vren disappeared behind the trees. Inside the cave, the air was cold and damp. Nobody spoke for a while. Then Scylla whispered, you could have saved him. Ash was quiet for a moment. Then said, so could you. He turned his back to the fire. You'll see. This world doesn't break you with claws. It breaks you with guilt. That night, Karen sat outside the cave entrance. Ash joined her after a while. She finally asked what she'd been holding in. Why did humans stay here? Why not leave Earth behind? Ash stared at the stars through the rain. We did leave. For a while. But out there, he nodded toward the sky. Things are soft. Too clean. Too easy. And easy makes you forget who you are. He looked down at the mud on his boots. Earth reminds you. Every day. In the middle of the night. They heard something in the cave. A low growl. Yuli opened her eyes. A pair of eyes were staring back at her, glowing yellow. She screamed. The group jumped up. A beast, long limbs, gray skin, wide jaws, crawled toward them, silent and fast. Ash was already in motion. The fight was brutal. Ash stabbed the creature once, it howled but didn't stop. Gruck threw a stone. Karen grabbed a metal rod from the pack and swung with all her strength. The beast slammed into Ash's side, knocking him into the wall. Then, Scylla stepped forward and screamed. Not in fear, but in rage. A sound so loud it shook the cave. The beast froze, just long enough for Ash to drive his blade through its skull. Silence returned. Breathing hard, Ash stood. He looked at Sula. "You felt that?" She nodded, crying. "That's fear turning into fire," Ash said. "That's what Earth teaches." In the morning, the storm was gone. But something had changed in the group. They walked quieter now. More alert. More careful. Vren was gone. But the weakness in them died with him. Earth had taken its price. And now, it was watching to see who would pay next. There was a mountain. But it was not made of stone. It was made of bones. Skulls bigger than escape pods. Spines that stretched longer than ships. Something, or someone, killed them all. And the students were walking straight into it. They didn't know what the bones belonged to. Only that the deeper they walked, the quieter the forest became. Even the wind had vanished. The sun was weak today, hidden behind ash-colored clouds that didn't move. Ash led the way, as always, but even he seemed slower here. More watchful. "Where are we?" Sula asked. Ash didn't answer for a while. Then said quietly, "The graveyard." Gruck blinked. "Of what?" Ash looked around. "Giants. They came to arise in the land." And that's when they saw it. Dozens of massive skeletons. Some half-buried, some broken, all ancient. Karen gasped. "These aren't human bones." Ash nodded. "No. They were here before us." He stepped onto a large cracked rib. "They ruled Earth once, for a short time." "Why did they die?" Yuli whispered. Ash ran his hand along the bone. "Because Earth doesn't care how big you are." They walked slowly through the remains. There were weapons near the bodies. Swords made of stone and metal. Massive tools. Armor the size of starships. Ash knelt near one skull, crushed in at the top. "This one died fast," he muttered. "The others, probably starved." Gruck looked around nervously. What could kill giants like these? Ash stood up. "The same thing that's watching us now." The students froze. Karen turned. "What do you mean?" Ash's voice dropped low. "There's something here, and it remembers them." A deep vibration moved through the ground. Very soft. But growing. Karen looked at her scanner. No life forms detected. Then the scanner blinked and shut off. Static. Out of the fog, something moved. Large, round, silent. It didn't walk. It glided. Covered in roots, bark, and stone. No face. No mouth. Just a single glowing red core in the center. Ash's jaw tightened. "Run!" They ran across the bones of giants. Ash stayed behind for a moment, watching the creature. It didn't chase them. Just followed slowly. "Patient." Sula shouted, "What is that thing?" Ash finally replied. "It's not alive." They found a tunnel half buried beneath a skull. Crawled through tight spaces until they reached an old earth bunker. Dust everywhere. Lights flickering. Ash slammed the door shut behind them. The creature didn't follow. Not yet. Inside the bunker, the air was heavy. Screens lined the wall. Old human research logs. Ash wiped off a panel and tapped keys. A video began playing, a recording. A human scientist looked into the camera, his eyes tired. "This is Dr. Felix Romer. Day 312. The weapon was a failure. We tried to create something that would defend Earth." His hands shook. But it didn't stop with the invaders. It decided everything was a threat. He stared into the lens. If you're hearing this, don't try to fight it. Hide. Pray. And never, ever, go to the graveyard. The screen went black. The students were silent. Ash leaned against the wall, breathing hard. So now you know, he said. Why we left Earth. Why we were afraid to come back. Karen looked down at her hands. But the Federation said this planet was secure. Ash scoffed. They lied. A low hum filled the bunker. Sula turned toward the wall. A red glow, coming through the cracks. The creature had found them. Gruck reached for his pack. What do we do now? Ash looked at him. Then at the others. He didn't smile. He didn't blink. He just said, "We fight." It was not a test anymore. Not a training mission. This was survival. And survival on Earth always has a price. The alien students were trapped. The ancient Earth weapon, the Gravekeeper, had found them. It had no blood. No heart. But it could feel fear. And it was already inside. A red light filled the bunker. Sparks rained from the ceiling. The ancient defense system had awakened. And it was hunting. Ash moved fast. "Everyone behind me," he shouted. Karen grabbed Sula's arm and ducked into a corner. Gruck held up a plasma tool, trembling. "It won't work," Ash said flatly. "This thing doesn't bleed." The wall exploded. Stone and metal flew like shrapnel. The creature floated in, slow, silent. Its red core pulsed. It was scanning. Searching. Judging. Then it moved toward Sula. Ash stepped in its path. "Over here," he said. The Gravekeeper turned to him. Ash threw a broken pipe. The object bounced harmlessly off its armor. But it responded. Its red eye flashed. And it charged. Ash dived to the side. It smashed into the wall. Sula screamed as Karen pulled her toward the exit tunnel. "Go!" Ash yelled. "We can't leave you." Sula cried. "Yes, you can." He looked back at the machine. This thing was made by humans. So it'll follow a human. Ash ran through the bunker halls. The machine followed. Each hit from its limbs shattered walls. The place shook like it might collapse. Gruck, Yuli, Sula, and Karen escaped through the tunnel. They emerged into fog and bone. Above them, the sky had darkened again. But they weren't safe. Not yet. Inside, Ash reached the reactor core. He pressed his hand to the ancient console. "Come on," he whispered. Still some power left. The screen lit up. Ash typed fast. "Override protocol. Open maintenance shaft." He ducked into the narrow crawlspace. The Gravekeeper was seconds behind. Outside, the students watched as the ground rumbled. A hatch opened from under the bone-covered hill. Ash rolled out, coughing. Then, the Gravekeeper came up after him. Karen screamed, "It's not stopping." "It won't," Ash said, standing. "Not unless we shut it down from inside." "But how?" "There's one way." Ash looked at the red core. "It's the brain. You hit it hard enough, it might stop." Gruck aimed his plasma cutter. "Let me try." "No," Ash said. "I'll do it." He took a steel rod from the ruins nearby. Tied an old explosive charge from the bunker to it. The others watched in silence. Ash, Sula stepped forward. "You might not come back." He smiled, just a little. "Welcome to Earth." Ash ran straight at the machine. It turned, scanning. But not fast enough. He slid under its legs, jumped, and drove the spear into the glowing core. The light exploded. A sound like a thunderclap tore the air. Then, silence. The gravekeeper fell, smoke rising from its body. Ash lay motionless. Sola ran to him. He was breathing. Just barely. "Idiot," she whispered, smiling through tears. Karen stood behind her, looking at the giant machine. "Earth built that, just to protect itself?" Ash opened his eyes. "No. Earth made us build it." He sat up slowly. "You wanted to know why humans are the way we are?" He pointed to the wreckage. "Because if we weren't, we wouldn't have survived." The others sat in silence. Around them, the graveyard was still. Only wind and ash moved now. Charon whispered, "Is it over?" Ash looked out across the valley. "No. It never ends on Earth. They came to Earth to learn. But Earth did not teach through words. It taught through pain, fear, and fire. Now they knew the truth. Earth didn't want visitors. It wanted survivors." Ash was wounded. The gravekeeper was destroyed, but Earth was not done. The sky turned black again. The wind howled like it was alive. And deep underground, something else had awakened. The group built a fire beside the ruins of the bunker. Ash sat quietly, wrapping his shoulder with torn cloth. Karen stared at the wreckage of the gravekeeper. "Are there more of those?" Ash didn't look up. "Yes." Yuli scanned the air with her device. "Radiation is rising. There's seismic activity 100 meters below us." Sola frowned. "This planet, it's angry." Ash finally looked up. "No. Not angry. It's watching." Gruk stood. "We should leave." Charon nodded. "We learned enough." Ash's voice cut through the wind. "No. Earth doesn't let you leave until it decides." The others looked at each other nervously. Then, the ground shook. A second gravekeeper rose from the canyon below. But this one was different. Twice as tall. Covered in layers of bone, metal, and glowing roots. Its core pulsed purple, not red. Ash stood. His face pale. "That one's not a weapon." Gruk stepped back. "Then what is it?" Ash whispered. "A warden." The warden didn't attack. It simply watched. Karen stared back. And in that moment, she felt something. A presence inside her mind. Images, memories, sounds. Not hers. Earth's. She gasped. She saw humans crawling through ice ages. Fighting monsters 10 times their size. Building fire from nothing. Eating roots just to stay alive. And dying. Again. And again. But still standing up. Still fighting. Still human. Karen dropped to her knees. Sola ran to her. "What happened?" Karen looked up slowly. "I saw it. I saw why this place is called a Deathworld." The warden raised one arm. Not to attack, but to point at the sky. Yuli checked her radar. A signal was coming through. From orbit. Federation command. They were watching too. Ash nodded. "They sent us here for a reason. Not to learn, but to test us." Gruk's fists clenched. "They used us?" Ash didn't reply. Because they all knew the answer. Karen turned to the others. "We need to go back. Tell everyone." Ash shook his head. "No. You tell them. They'll come here." He looked out at the dark horizon. Earth has slept long enough. And the galaxy forgot why it feared us. The warden stepped back. Its body dissolved into mist. Gone. Ash looked at the students. "You survived Earth. But that's just the beginning." Sola asked, "What now?" He smiled, for real this time. Now, you're ready to be human. The clouds parted. Starlight broke through the sky. The ship above signaled green, it was ready for extraction. Karen looked one last time at the planet below. A place of monsters, ghosts, and legends. A place that didn't welcome strangers, but built heroes. They came as students. They left as survivors. Now, they would become something more. Something dangerous.